Others drop down to their knees and make doer. Popsicle sticks race down the curb into the sewer. The next American hangman.
Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
I'm Rory Farrell, and we have a special guest on today. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cory Mcdonal.
And I've known Cory for many years now. We've kind of come into contact in a couple different ways. Yeah. It was weird. Yeah. But we were talking the other day. I wished you a happy birthday again. It was recent. Yeah. And I said, oh my God, you should be on the you're the perfect guest for the podcast. And it's because you have the real estate background. You also have the brewing background. So typically what we do with this podcast when we have realtors on is we talk about how you got into real estate, what brought you to, what industries brought you to real estate, how did they help you become a good realtor. So why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory, where who you work for, where you live?
Work for, yeah. Well, I guess as we were talking, as we were catching up when I came in, I work for a lot of people, including myself. From a real estate perspective, I work for the Howe Group. We're out of Conshohocken, and not only do we do traditional real estate, so buying and selling of real estate, but we also have a property management division, and we have a little over 1,100 units in and around Philadelphia.
Wow.
So I help with the leasing part of that perspective, and then also when I'm not doing real estate, I do beer.
Yeah.
So currently I'm a brewing supervisor for Boston Beer Company, which many people know as Sam Adams. But also, as you can see in front of you, not only do we do Sam, we do Twisted Tea, as well as Truly's and a bunch of other brands that kind of fall underneath us.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah. That's why I was like wondering why you brought in Truly and Twisted. I'm like, they have to be in the same umbrella.
Yeah. It's funny. So Twisted Tea is a beer base. And believe it or not, Twisted Tea is the number 7 beer in America right now.
Okay.
So
believe it.
Yeah.
And what, this is not a dumb question, but what makes it a beer base? Because a lot of people wouldn't think that it's a beer base.
I had no idea.
Right. Yeah. So there is enough barley in there, as well as enough hops in there to qualify as a beer. And so because of that,
Very cool.
Interesting.
Well, typically we right off the bat we get into the beer, but I wanted you to kind of tee that up. So
what do you want to do? Let's tee it up.
All right, yeah. America loves their tweez, man. I'll tell you that much.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Twisted is an awesome brand, and it has a tremendous following.
Thank you.
I mean, it has a resurgence, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It died off for a little bit, but has come hard over the last couple of years. And from a corporate perspective, we're leaning heavily into Twisted this year, just with what we're seeing as far as the growth of the product line, and really the demand for this type of beverage in the marketplace. So what we're drinking today, this is Twisted Peach. Your traditional Twisted Tea that you're familiar with a little hit of peach to it.
This is more up my alley.
I know.
Sure.
This is talking Michael's language over here.
I'm loving
cheers.
this.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mike.
Yeah, cheers, brother.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I'll tell you what, if I'm just regular iced tea, I'm going peach, not alcoholic, whatever, but peach tea is my, if I'm going with it.
Yeah, I definitely have, this is something, I'm a big beer guy. And prior to working for Sam, I can't say that I drank a lot of, alcoholic teas, but I've fallen in love with it. This is now, I get home from a long day and typically we're working 12, 13, 14-hour days. And I'll crack one of these, and we actually not only have the 5% version, but we have an extreme version up to 8%.
That's what we need.
Man, that takes the edge off of a long
8%, something that tastes good at 8%.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
That's
this is like my I'm not saying this because he's here. Like if I was to drink all day, like we're having a day drinking, like a dage as they call them in college. Yeah. This is my go-to because like beer is too much to be drinking all day for me. So that's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the ideal tailgate beverage. I think.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the party pouch at all?
No, you're talking. This is new to me here. Hold on.
Yeah, so it not only comes in your traditional 12-ounce cans and 16 ounces for the extreme version, but it does come in party patch. So think wine in a box.
Yeah.
But Twisted.
Slap the bag.
Slap the bag. Yeah. Damn. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
It's. I mean, it was built for kind of going out on the river, going camping.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Tailgate and stuff like that. So it's a perfect beverage.
Very good. And that's a good one to start. Ease into our happy hour with.
And we're gonna drink all of these before we get off the air. So.
And then we're all gonna sleep here today because no one's gonna be able to drive home.
All right.
Give us a little bit about your background of your journey to getting to Sam, because what you don't know, what probably a lot of people don't know, is Sam is super highly regarded in the brewing industry for being a pioneer in craft. When I was in sales, the two guys who are our sales managers were trained by the SAM system, and it's like widely known as like the best beer sales system. So I'm sure that also translates down to the brewing and
that continues. It's one of the things that at corporate we track. Really, it's kind of a net. I think it's Net Navigator. I think that's what it's called. But at any rate, Sam's Salesforce is consistently ranked the number one beer sales team in the country, which is pretty cool.
Increasingly harder in this market because there's just that much more beer.
So crowded. I think last count 9,600 breweries in America and growing, which is crazy. Even with the contraction we're kind of seeing right now because of COVID, there's new guys opening up every day. So
and I mean, when Sam started, which was
that's a great point. Late 70s, early 80s.
A tenth of them, maybe even less of that.
And you kind of talked about how I got into this. I started home brewing. Probably been 15 years ago. Brewed an IPA. My first beer out the box, killed it. most people will brew Drek, and kept doing that, and kept brewing better and better beers. And finally, somebody was like, "Hey, you should get into this." And during that time, kind of bringing the whole journey full circle, I'd gone to Sam Adams Beer Dinner down at was the old Field House, right there across from Reading Terminal Market.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So and Jim Cook, founder of Sam Adams, was there. So I have a picture.
Legendary.
15 years ago. So definitely a lot less gray hair, a little bit more hair, with me and Jim Cook, and was fortunate enough to repeat that picture this last fall when I was at corporate for new hire orientation.
That's very cool.
And so it's like it's as a brewer, right? When you're getting into it, at least when I got into it, mid-aughts. The two guys you follow, right? Jim Cook and Sam Calzioni at Dogfish, and Dogfish is now part of the family as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
But like those were my heroes, those guys and Vinny out in Russian River, and the folks in New Belgium was like, I got to meet these guys.
Well, especially Sam on the East Coast, he's legendary on the East Coast.
I've been fortunate enough to meet both the guys, and they kind of started my journey into beer, and I've done a bunch of different things in beer since then. Started out my first job in the industry. I was a beer sales guy, just like Rory was. For Magic Hat in the local area.
You would have you ever had Magic Hat?
No, I don't think so.
That.
Yeah, you guys,
you would like that for sure.
I feel like I've just like met a whole new underground group. You're like naming people and you're talking. It feels like we're talking about like skating or something.
Totally
it's like when you talk to me about TikTokers.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh man, but no, I can't get into TikTok.
No,
Chinese can't have my data.
They got plenty of mics.
So. Yeah, unfortunately for sure. But I'm sure the U.S.
Right. Yeah. Now that somebody's got our voices out there and we're getting
it's over for us. So. But you just gotta live with it while you can.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and then how long have you been doing real estate for then?
Shoot, it would have been before my oldest was born, and she just turned 12, so probably 14 years.
Yeah, okay. So right around the same time as brewing, and they kind of like, especially as you get into the industry of brewing, odd hours, especially in the sales part, it's like you can really kind of marry the sales of beer to any sales tactic with anything, but specifically real estate.
Yeah,
and then also work those hours into each other. Because it is flexible. It is.
As a brewer, it has really. Kind of melded very, very well. Because certainly Sam, we're on an order and amount bigger than anything I've done. But in the smaller shops that I've run and worked at, I'm able to while you're running a process, you can hop on, take care of your clients' needs, do some prospecting, what have you, and then you're off work and you're in the field and you're showing people houses and meeting with sellers and things like that. So.
And we've done a couple of closings at breweries that you've owned, which is like that's. People love that. People think it's so cool, so unique. Instead of doing it like a title company,
man, it's great. So because it's one of the most stressful things you're ever going to do. Right? Buy a house, sell a house. And what we found is, certainly this helps take the edge off. But you're not going in. You're not going to sit around a conference table. There's not a bunch of guys in suits or gals in suits. And it's instead you're going to have a couple of beers.
Yeah.
You're going to write a $50,000 check and off you go.
To be honest, at that point. The ink is basically anything but dry, but we've done the hard part at that point. You might as well celebrate because it is a celebration, right. To be able to own a home, and especially these days.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Very, very cool. And often when you're doing that, you're working with like-minded people who want to have that same attitude, title companies, realtors,
absolutely,
lenders, clients.
Yeah, I think as I've kind of grown my client base, I think, word has gotten out. Not only have I helped, fellow brewers and people in industry, but, beer geeks and people that are just kind of in it. And as you're starting, whether you're consulting with a seller, that resonates. It's like, because they want to know, hey, talk to me about your background. What do you have to be doing? It's like, whoa, you brew beer. And it's like, of course, you always bring a beer with you.
Yeah. For sure.
It kind of helps smooth it out. But
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think with all of your background, you were in the Army as well. Thank you for your service. You've been in a million different things, and you're continuing to do a million different things at the same time, which I'm sure is burning you out. But with that, like, you always get, like, you can relate to that many more people. And I think a lot of what we do is, especially when you're asking people to trust you, you got to be relatable.
Sure.
And you have a bunch of different avenues that you can relate to a bunch of different people with.
Yeah. And it's, as you guys know, doing mortgages, whatever you're doing in life, the more diverse background you have, it allows you to not necessarily be a chameleon, but relate to people on a bunch of different levels and have a story or have an experience that, I would say in 95% of the cases, I can relate to somebody. There's that 5% of people that you're just never going to win with. But yeah,
I think it also just dives into live your life too. You know what I mean? If you want to try a thing out, so try it out for a little bit, see if it works, go down a different avenue. I think it's awesome. So and I agree. I think being able to relate to more people ultimately helps you in this business more than anything, really. It's like being able just to relate and help anybody out is a great thing. So
yeah.
What do you want?
Over here, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. So I mentioned, we do a lot of different things. Truly is one of the, I would say 70% of our production at the plant is either Twisted or Truly, and with that, there's a lot of different brands around and varieties. So we're gonna go kind of split it up a little bit depending on your flavor profile. I'm gonna pull my
so we got
favorites out of here.
What's your favorite?
Raspberry, pineapple.
This particular pack, we've got, as Rory said, watermelon, citrus squeeze, raspberry, and pineapple. For me, out of this pack, I'm going to go citrus squeeze all day, every day.
Big pineapple guy.
I'm a pineapple guy too.
Yeah,
the anchovies
you know what? I'll
one
do
in there?
watermelon then. It's got a variety here. But yeah, there's, being in real estate, being in our industry as well, you want to know as many people as possible. And one thing I know about you is marathoner, try boxing, fitness, kind of have that sphere. You got your real estate, you got your brewing. What else am I missing? You got dad, of course.
Right?
Father.
Maybe the most important one.
Yeah, it's the most important job anybody could have. Yeah, and certainly, again, as you meet your parent groups and your kids, friends, parents, that helps build it, and it's just nice to be able to have different stuff to relate to people about.
And not to get off a topic, but a triathlete. What do you?
Yeah.
Do you what's your longest, I guess, triathlon?
My longest try, I did a half Ironman.
You did a half Iron?
Yeah, and I've done the half down in AC 4 times. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, it's the one Tom did.
Yeah,
he did that once. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking about. Happy Valley has one now. Penn State has one.
Yeah, I've heard it is a butt kicker. It's
Three Penn Staters right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Cool.
So there you go.
We are.
Nice. Yeah. Here's that.
I've got my kids learning how to do that. It drives my wife nuts.
I have my oldest is completely brainwashed. Like, she's part of the cult. We got her. My youngest is my ex-wife. She went to Delaware. So the little one
She's
is
a blue hen.
Yeah, my little one is kind of drinking that Kool-Aid. So it's cool.
It happens.
Yeah, my wife went to Loyola, it's a small college in Maryland. So like they don't even have a football team.
Right.
So like, we don't even watch the games that often anymore, but like I'll like really drill it into especially my oldest is that, and it drives her nuts.
Hey man, we got some solid rugby players from Loyola actually. They're probably like our 3 best players are from Loyola.
All right.
Yeah. But that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, we talked a little bit about how how being in the beer industry and other industries have helped you with the real estate. Like anything in particular where you're like, man, I'm so glad I do the beer stuff because it's it's helpful in the real estate industry.
Yeah. I mean certainly beer and real estate they've gone well together. But prior to getting into beer and real estate, I did a lot of different sales jobs. So God bless our services, but they do a really bad job of preparing us for civilian life. Okay. And so I got out and had really no clue what I was going to do with my life. So did probably 4 or 5 different sales careers prior to getting into beer sales, and then ultimately all this. So all that kind of really prepared me to be a salesperson on the real estate level. I ran a lot of going back to the fitness thing, ran a lot of boxing clubs and gyms actually out in San Diego. Yeah. Another
And another
Weird.
connection.
So Rory and I have actually lived parallel lives.
I'm like, you just mentioned
I
the
didn't
San
prepare
Diego
for
thing.
anything. I said,
No.
my buddy Cory's coming in.
I didn't even know who's coming in today, and now it's like you're telling me the same story as him. You just joined the army.
It's funny. Like when we first started working together on the real estate side, started talking about different people we knew and things like that. And Rory managed a bar, like my favorite bar when I was living at the beach.
It was so weird.
And knew a lot of the same people. It was just wild.
That's so bizarre. You guys had to have like seen each other.
We must have.
at least.
We must have. Yeah.
And what was your MOS in the army?
I was a tanker.
Okay,
Actually.
solid.
So,
It's a tough job.
Going to Penn State, doing the ROTC thing. I thought for sure I was going to be an infantry officer.
Yeah.
Ranger and all this stuff, and then sat on a tank for the first time. Like, y'all got to walk around in the mud, sleep in the mud, walk everywhere. Nah,
I'll hang out here.
So got into tanks and doing that whole thing, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible experience. I had a chance to work and live with a lot of interesting people. Timing was interesting for me. Coming out of high school, it was too young for Gulf War, and then I got out right before 9/11. Just how life worked. So the only thing we did that was interesting during that time was deployed to Kosovo, and that was real chill compared to
You were in Kosovo? Were you really? Yeah. Shout out Albania. Shout out Julieta.
Oh, is that right?
My girlfriend's from Albania.
Oh,
yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
So actually went through Albania a lot. Had a lot of Albanians working for us on the base that were in Kosovo. That's
solid.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
Again,
funny.
small world.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Right.
And one of the breweries that we have done in the past, we're doing soon, is the new one, Tosca.
Tosca.
Yeah.
Have you been? Or do you?
I have not been. I mean, certainly, R.I.P. Earthbread, right?
Yeah.
That
Just
was a great spot. It was
classic spot right on that main drag and mountain area. Just like it really like anchored the community. It's really a bummer, but
I'll be excited to hear what they have to say.
beers are good. Food's excellent, and
Food's
the
very
three
good,
owners are Albanian. They have like a Kosovo light lager, I think. There's like some of their kind of hometown inspired beers, as well as the hazies and the Philly inspired Eagles beers.
Yeah, I got to get in there. I probably pass it like 4 or 5 times a week. It's I should stop.
It's
but I
good.
don't have
Food's
time,
great.
so.
So, and the beers are good too. Especially, forget where they brew out of. I think, or they brew out of there, but I think they hired on a brewer from like a bigger company. So
cool.
like right off the bat, they were good beers.
That's the key.
Sometimes the home brewer jumping up to the the bigger.
So
tanks.
many lessons to learn.
Yep.
I mean, and I did that as well. But luckily, my first brewing job was with Neshaminy Creek here in the local area, and had a chance to learn from Jeremy, who I'm very close with still. And he's taught me a lot of things. So I was fortunate that I didn't have a chance to really brew bad beer coming into it. But I mean, you see that. I mean, that kind of a little bit of the contraction we're seeing in the beer industry right now is because a lot of guys that haven't really taken the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can't jump into the industry as a home brewer. Like I wouldn't recommend.
No,
it.
I mean you can.
Like go somewhere, earn your spurs. Clean floors, learning about
Clean
dry
trains.
hopping, learn about yeast counts, making sure you know it before you roll. Otherwise, you're just gonna throw money down.
It's like being a chef. You know what I mean? You can't go from cooking at home to cooking for 20, 30 people an hour. It's hard to do. I mean, it's an art form, really. I look at it like that. It's like I can't go and brew something. I could watch a YouTube video and maybe make a.
We're gonna do one together though.
Yeah, we want to do one. Yeah.
I mean, you talk about good podcast material. There you go.
Yeah. Make a video on that. We should. We really should. We've been talking about that for a while.
Dust off my brewing equipment in the basement.
Yeah.
I hadn't homebrewed in probably 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
And then coming to Sam, machines do a lot of the work.
Yep.
And so you kind of miss, you miss having your hands into it. So I a couple months after I started at Sam, I broke out the old rig and brewed it up, and it was nice.
Forget how to use it. You're like, what do I do? Like, just the process is just different in the homebrew scale.
Right. So much smaller.
Yeah. You need a couple people to pick up giant, 15-gallon pots and full of boiling water.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Cool. Do you want to crack one more? And
Yeah, sure. Well, let's see. I mean, I know you're a big hop head, so let's kind of go that direction. So we'll go.
This is the most amount of drinks that we've had on one podcast.
Oh, sweet. Glad.
Which we should have known.
Yeah. A lot of people will tell you the road to ruin is
I'm not
being
complaining.
next to a bar, behind a bar with me. So this is Sam Adams Wicked Double. So you'll see in front of us we got 3 of the Wicked variants. We have the Wicked Double, Wicked Hazy, and the Wicked Easy.
Okay.
We're really kind of stepping it up. Wicked Easy, a nice, easy, sessionable IPA. Wicked Hazy, you're kind of traditional New England IPA. So you're going to have, in all of them, you're going to have a nice, nice fruity flavor profile. I find with the Wicked Double, what you're going to have is you're going to get some tangerine in there, some stone fruit. And what I really love about this beer, as far as alcohol content, you can't even tell. Like a lot of double or triple
just
IPAs.
tastes like a regular IPA.
Yeah, you get
far as content.
Yeah,
like
you get
alcohol
that big, kind of boozy aftertaste.
Yep.
But this thing, it drinks like a session. Clearly not. But
Unfortunately, it drinks like a session.
yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for bringing multiple
Cheers.
variants.
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when we first started working together,
Hold on, not to cut you off. That's very good, by the way.
Isn't it amazing?
I like that a lot. Yeah.
this guy never had an IPA prior to like a year ago.
Wow. Yeah. Hops are a source, man.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I love a good crispy pilsner or a lager because from a brewing perspective, as a brewer with a lager, there's nowhere to hide.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always say that. It's
Yeah.
harder to brew a lager or, a Pilsner, a blonde, something
Right.
with like not a lot of like hop,
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can screw up an IPA and then add some extra hops and dry hop it and all of a sudden it smells good. You're like, this is drinkable.
Right?
Yeah. There's nowhere to, like you said,
Yeah.
nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide.
Which is
But-
why I don't brew a lot of lighter,
Rory-
cleaner beers like that.
Right?
Rory used to make fun of me a lot because my go-to beer was Corona Premier. That
Okay.
was like all I drank
Sure,
ever.
sure.
And then he started introducing me to beers, and now I'm like, I go to a beer store probably 2 blocks away, Rye Brew in Philly.
You just
Okay,
get Rye
yeah,
Brew,
yeah,
right?
So that's where I go to pick up all my beer now.
He'll text me pictures like, should I get this? Well, I like this.
Yeah, I'll try and FaceTime him. He'll be like,
It'll
what
be
you
some
call
like
me
Belgian
for?
sour
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like 12%. I'm like,
Rye Brew's in
Brewery Town, Fairmount.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I always forget the name of the brewery that's right there.
There's a.
Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your crime
Yeah.
punch.
Have you been there?
I have.
I've been. Have you?
I don't think so. No.
You need to go.
Yeah.
Great beers.
Well, right after this, I'm already.
yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Dude.
Those go next. Yeah, and kind of keeping with the whole ethnic kind of theme of what we've talked about. They do pierogies and things like that. That's
Oh, solid.
that's their food. And
Shout out
so,
Poland.
you want to talk about great pairing. And then kind of bringing it back to real estate. I mean, certainly
Professional.
in Brewery Town, right? We got to tell a
I
story.
love this guy.
In Brewery Town is a booming part of the city. A lot of my Philly business is in Brewery Town because it was 10 years ago you didn't go anywhere near
No.
Brewery Town, but now there's a lot of gentrification that's happening, and with that the value though is still there, and it is a block by block section of town, but because of that. You're able to get value either from an investment perspective or a buyer perspective. You
Yeah.
can still kind of get into that market.
For sure.
I mean,
For sure.
if you could make it safe, like all the way around, it's a perfect location.
Right.
It's incredible. Right by the river, right by Fairmount Lake. It's
Right by the zoo. I mean, there's so much. There's a lot to do in that part of the city. That's why I love living there. I'm on 29th and Girard. I'm right there on the edge of Brewery Town and Fairmount.
Yep.
Love living there. Love the I really do like the community and the people around. Like, there's some guys a block down the street from me. They sit out like almost maybe once or twice a night. They have beers. There's like 5 or 6 neighbors that come through. Maybe I'll drop stuff off. Maybe I'll say hello. Like, it's just there's things going on. There's
It feels
things
like
to
old
do.
school Philly, right?
Yeah, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
nice, and I love it. But it's like you said, block by block. So as time goes on, I'm sure it'll be like that a lot more.
Well, we'll see what same thing we saw in Fishtown.
Exactly.
And other parts of South Philly. I actually just moved up to Lansdale from South Philly.
Yep.
And where I was, Girard Estates, there were outlier areas, above that you're still a little rough, but you can still find value. So yeah.
Yeah.
And is that where you do most of your real estate? Is it in Philly? Or
I'm all
now?
5. I'm all 5 counties.
So, yeah, you're all over.
because again, having done it this long, the referral network of my former clients has been great.
Cool.
And because of that, I'm in all 5 counties, and now I'm finding as word's gotten out that I'm up in Allentown on a daily basis.
you're
Lehigh
all over the
County,
Lehigh Valley area. Yeah.
works and is coming in.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah, so it's.
You're running.
Yeah. It definitely does keep you running, and but it's fun. Yeah, I don't know. I talk to a lot of people all the time, and and it's like, well, are you ever going to retire? And we talked about when we were kind of getting settled. I think I'm just going to work until I can't work anymore. It's just I love working. I mean, certainly, hey, who doesn't love money? But
Yeah.
it's those personal interactions. It's
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in when you stop working, it's not when you die, but it's when you start slowing down.
Yeah,
time.
sure.
And it's like, I think if you continue to work, the people who you see that are the oldest and look the best are the ones that are always moving and constantly working.
Yeah, you got to stay.
I think it comes with your personality too. It's like we were just talking about my father, who's like who couldn't, when he retired, hangs out with my kids, hangs out with nieces, nephews, things like that. But is very chill. Like I'm gonna be antsy. I'm gonna be needing to do something. So I think I'll be working for a while.
Well, and
or maybe I'll retire because I'll be rich by then, and then be able to travel and do stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's the ultimate goal, right? I would love to.
Maybe this podcast will take off.
Yeah,
Right?
who knows?
There you go. Yeah. We'll be the next Kelsey's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, cheers to those guys, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, you
cheers.
talk about a guy that can never going to have to pay for a meal or drink in Philly ever again, like any of
Or
them,
in Sea Isle.
right? Oh my
He
God.
loves Sea Isle.
Yeah,
Oh,
was
yeah,
it,
they both do.
this last weekend he was down there.
Was it?
I think, yeah.
I think he's got a spot down there.
Yeah, they love
But
it.
Can you imagine just seeing him walk down?
I think he's just a normal dude.
I think he's a normal dude.
So I just remember this the other day, and because he's a man about town. So I talked about my first job in the beer industry. It was a regional rep for Magic Hat,
Yep.
and coming off the homebrewers, I knew a lot of the homebrewers in the local area. So we actually did a homebrew competition at a barbecue joint in Old City, and at the time I was very active on Twitter. So I
X. Back when it was Twitter.
right. So I shot my shot and hit him up because he was 1 or 2 years in the league at that point, so
Wow.
just figuring up.
Wow.
And I asked him, hey, we're doing this, this beer contest. Can you and a couple of the guys come down and be the judges? And God bless him, he came down. Yeah, so it was really, really cool. So it was
so
him and Todd Harriman's and one other guy, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Runyon, but I was trying to struggle through this the other day about who it was. So, hey, Jason Kelsey, if you're watching this, get at us. Remind me of who we did it, and then also forgive me for it being the worst run beer competition in the history of beer competitions. So Nick and Jimmy.
You secured the talent via Twitter. It's like, what was he expecting?
It works, yeah.
Right, yeah, we got the guys here. So hey.
So fun.
So Nick and Jimmy from Philly Homebrew.
Oh, that's awesome.
They helped me with it, and I think they still talk about how bad I ran that thing. But we had a lot of fun, drank a lot of beer. So
That's it. That's what matters.
It's a great story to our 15 years later.
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah, for sure. That'll be a
now
good
this
clip.
is, what do we just open up? Oh, just another
Same
thing.
thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
Cool.
I figured we'd keep it going.
I was saying, it drinks a little easier the second time around.
Yeah.
Not that it was not drinkable the
Well, I
first
think-
time, but like all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is smooth.
Yeah, and especially coming off the.
I thought we
Trulies
stepped
and the
down
Twisted.
actually to
Yeah.
the next one down.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, but
Yeah, whatever.
But whatever.
it's Friday,
That's what we're telling people on the podcast.
right?
Too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So is there anything else that you,
I love
like I
know
said-
about the wins. I mean,
oh yeah, we usually do a win.
Yeah.
Shoot,
Yeah, I think the big win, I think for me on the real estate side of the house lately, helping out with the leasing side of how properties, we're seeing a kind of increase in our turnover as far as getting people into our buildings. There is a tremendous leasing in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area, is tremendously competitive. It's one of the, I think, 2 or 3 markets in America where it's actually cheaper to buy than it is to rent.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, and it's because there was a lot of competition, but now what we saw in a couple of different areas of Philly proper is a lot of development springing up. So we have 2 buildings in Northern Liberties, and used to have no problem filling them. And now, in the last 3 years, there's probably, 5,000 units that have opened up.
wow.
And so the competition is ridiculous. And a lot of the developers, to their credit,
Brand new, it's just newer. While brothers drop down to their knees and make newer. Popsicle sticks race down the curb into the sewer. The